And they have Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis. That's the state of boxing.
Yeah, that's
right
crazy.
Let that sink in.
Jake
that's
Paul,
right
Gervonta Davis is so crazy. 135 versus 200. That is so nuts.
They go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him. Yes. He recognizes that he's too big for him.
One thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, all kidding. If he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later.
On a recent podcast, Joe Rogan weighed in on the highly anticipated Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown, warning, this could get ugly. Rogan highlighted the massive weight disparity between the two, stressing that weight classes exist for a reason. He explained that while Jake Paul's size and power could give him a significant advantage, Gervonta's elite skill set and explosive speed make the matchup fascinating. Still, Rogan cautioned that the physical imbalance might turn this fight into a dangerous and potentially unfair contest.
My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. No, it's just like,
But
doesn't bother me.
there's compromise in the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
If I bet on it,
watching it with people who are so in on, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia, so it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
just trying to draw you in. I'm just trying to make money, right? So I'm trying to draw you in.
Joe Rogan repeatedly points out just how absurd the weight difference is between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Paul has been fighting around cruiserweight, almost 195 to 200 pounds, while Davis has stayed at lightweight, around 135 pounds, for most of his career.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight. Despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seems set to wear 12-ounce gloves. And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the results will not be officially recorded on their professional records.
Boxing purists and even some athletic commission officials have voiced strong criticism as well. Many argue that a fight with such a massive size disparity would never be sanctioned under normal circumstances. They warn that even with special conditions, like a catchweight or exhibition label, the matchup undermines the integrity of the sport and pushes the limits of what should be considered fair competition.
He should beat Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
You don't think... Sorry, so... I thought we were all unanimous here. You think Jake Paul beats Gervonta Davis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro.
5'5". You got Jake Paul.
The little man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up
Move on.
and absorbing punishment for walking forward, look, there's a weight advantage.
Rogan views this matchup more as a spectacle than a legitimate competition. He remarked, 135 versus 200, that's insane, underscoring how outrageous the weight gap is from a traditional boxing perspective. Beyond the imbalance, Rogan expressed real concern about the safety risks involved. When one fighter carries that much extra weight, he explained, the force behind their punches increases dramatically, raising the potential for serious injury. Even with superior skill, the smaller fighter becomes far more vulnerable against such a physical disadvantage.
In boxing, so you got Canelo Crawford, you got Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, that's happening. And then you have Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis. That's the state of boxing.
That's
right now.
crazy.
Let that sink in.
Jake
That's
Paul,
boxing.
Gervonta Davis is so crazy. 135 versus 200. That is so nice.
They're all
None of them are.
They're exhibitions.
But what does that mean?
Just means you don't really. Nobody wins.
They're not.
Right.
It's kind of. I mean,
It's weird.
I don't want Jake to sue me. They're not. It's not like a real scrap. It's not real.
Really? So they're not trying to knock each other out?
No.
Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather don't like each other. They have not liked each other forever.
Tyson and Mayweather.
Yes,
But they like
Mike Tyson and Mayweather don't like each other.
Huh.
But there's a fight that might be real, like where Mike Tyson might say, "I'm gonna knock this out, or I'm gonna try to knock this motherfucker
It would be
out."
Due to growing concerns over the massive size difference, several special rules are being implemented for this matchup. The fight has been officially labeled an exhibition, meaning it won't affect either fighter's professional record. Additional safety measures are also in place, including larger gloves and a set catch weight of 195 pounds. Interestingly, despite its exhibition status, judges will still be assigned, ensuring the bout has an official scoring element while maintaining its non-competitive framework.
If you do fight, what weight would it be at?
195.
Oh, wow. So he would go all the way from 40 to 95?
Yeah, I mean, it would be an exhibition.
Okay. But, and so what does that mean? Is that 3-minute rounds?
Yeah, 10 3-minute rounds.
And when you say exhibition, like, what are the restrictions on that?
No restrictions, just the fact that like we couldn't actually get it professionally sanctioned.
Rogan views this matchup more as a spectacle than a legitimate competition. He remarked, 135 versus 200, that's insane, underscoring how outrageous the weight gap is from a traditional boxing perspective. Beyond the imbalance, Rogan expressed real concern about the safety risks involved. When one fighter carries that much extra weight, he explained, the force behind their punches increases dramatically, raising the potential for serious injury. Even with superior skill, the smaller fighter becomes far more vulnerable against such a physical disadvantage.
It is completely just, it's, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
See, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to like Pete Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. Like, I thought it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195, and he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad, because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him.
Yes.
He recognizes that he's too big for him.
Critics like Daniel Cormier have echoed these concerns, acknowledging that while Gervonta Davis is clearly the more skilled boxer, the extreme weight difference turns the fight into more of a spectacle than a true sporting contest. Cormier stresses that Jake Paul's size advantage is simply too great to ignore, arguing that the matchup pushes far beyond the boundaries of what boxing typically allows. He openly questions how a bout with such an obvious physical imbalance ever received approval from the governing bodies in the first place.
I think it's the most dangerous thing in the world. With us, we would go on Thursday night. If I weighed 216 and I had to be 205 by Friday morning, I would get as low as I possibly could and then try to go to bed. So if I'd get to 207, I would hope that by the morning I'd be 206. I'd only have to lose a pound in the morning. So I'm dehydrated for 12, 13, 14 hours. Those guys today are going to bed at that weight, Joe, 10, 11 over, and waking up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and cutting the weight, because they said if they cut all that weight, they don't sleep, which I can attest to. It don't matter how much melatonin you take, you're so dehydrated. You're not going to get a good night's sleep. I think it's dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Because you have to cut 10 pounds in 4 hours. If you don't, you're screwed. Because the worst possible feeling, you expect to lose 8, but you might lose 6, 5.5. And then you're like...
Cormier also voiced his disbelief over how the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight was organized, calling the entire setup flawed from the start. He recalled the press conference where even Tank seemed unsure about the agreed-upon weight class, a moment Cormier viewed as more than just a minor oversight. To him, it highlighted how unusually unstructured the whole arrangement is. In a sport built around strict weight divisions designed to protect fighters and maintain fairness, the lack of clarity surrounding this bout stands out as deeply troubling.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds. The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
Coach Calvin Ford has shown cautious optimism about the upcoming Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis fight, but hasn't hidden his deep concerns about safety. He admitted that the size gap between the two fighters is extreme, yet since Davis agreed to the bout, Ford isn't planning to pull out. His main concern centers on the glove size. Ford pointed out that 12-ounce gloves are typically used for training, not competitive bouts, as they reduce impact but also change the fight's rhythm. To make things fairer and safer, he proposed that Davis wear 8-ounce gloves while Paul uses 10-ounce ones. However, Ford revealed that when he brought this idea to Paul's camp, they rejected it, insisting both fighters wear the same size gloves.
How are we with everything, man? How's Tank been?
In a good headspace, great headspace, looking good. You know, just trying to go through our stages. You know, it's like pre-camp, then camp. You know, get them from. We ain't fought in a while. You know what I'm saying? We was getting prepared for a Roach, and then we got blessed with this fight. That's how I look at it. You know.
Interesting comment there that they were getting ready for the Roach rematch, and then this fight was, you know, he said they got blessed with this fight, but this fight came through. So the plan was actually to go and rematch Lamont Roach, which is something that I think he should have done. I think they you know, for Tank's legacy, for, you know, just the sanctity of pro boxing when it comes to a world champion and what they do with that world championship belt, I think he should have taken the Lamont Roach rematch. It seems like they were going to, but the obvious reason that everyone, I think, knows why they didn't is because Netflix and a Jake Paul fight come with a massive bag. Like, there's probably no comparison to what Tank will make to fight Lamont Roach or anybody else compared to Jake Paul. Whether you like that or not, it's the truth. He is a money fight, and so is Tank. And that's why they're going to do a shit ton of viewers on Netflix and why they're going to both make a shit ton of money. So the point I want to take away from that is that they were starting to get their minds and body ready for Lamont Roach, which means that Tank was in somewhat of a serious pre-camp, right? Somewhat of a serious, you know, workout regimen, getting himself in shape. Not that Tank is super out of shape out of camp. I don't know that. But this means that he was mentally preparing for a fight regardless. It's not hopping off the couch Tank, which is not what you want to see even against Jake Paul, because the least serious you take Jake, and I've said this about everybody that's fought him, the ones that don't take him serious, the ones that say he's a YouTuber and everything else, they end up losing, or they end up looking like, oh, wait a second, this guy was a little better than I thought. They end up either getting taken by surprise or actually sometimes losing because they don't realize that Jake actually takes it serious. So this is good to hear. Just already right off the rip, they were already doing something.
Surprise. So tell me, you know, when did you hear about this?
Been going back and forth for years. Tank and Jake, they've been going at it for years, and it would have happened sooner. You know what I'm saying? But we have hiccups in life. I'm gonna call it hiccups, but they lessons to learn from. We're back on track and keeping it moving.
When you heard about the fight, were you like, wait, what? Like, we're doing what?
Actually, when I heard about the fight, they called me and said, "What you thought about the fight?" I said, "The fight doable.